Well, good to have you with us. Sentencing proceedings begin in the so-called Suitcase murder trial today. Alutha Pasile being convicted of the murder of his girlfriend, Hare student Nosicelo Mtebeni. Now, here's the shocking part. After murdering her, he put her body into a suitcase and a bag and dumped it on the pavement. It's a terrible story. Ayesha Ismail is covering it for us. You're at the High Court in East London. The day of reckoning is here, Ayesha.
Well, Gareth, what will happen today, and as you said in your intro, Alutha Pasile has now been convicted after he confessed to killing his girlfriend Nosicelo Mtebeni. And what will happen today is that the sentencing procedures will begin. Now, the judge in this case will now have to weigh up the mitigating factors as well as the aggravating factors after she's heard all the evidence. And after weighing up all these factors, she will have to then try and arrive at an appropriate sentence. What's interesting in this case is that not only did Alutha Pasile kill Nosicelo Mtebeni, he also then proceeded to dismember her, put her in two suitcases and black bags, and then dumped her body on a street corner. And so he's not only being convicted of murder, but also of defeating the ends of justice, because he tried to conceal, to cover up his crime. So we're expecting a social worker today to come to court to talk about Alutha Pasile's background and to talk about his personal circumstances. And once the judge in this matter, who is Nosicelo Mtebeni, she will listen to all the evidence, and as I said, she will then have to arrive at an appropriate sentence. What we did here on Monday from the state prosecutor, Nikki Turner, was that she was going to request for an increased sentence. Now we know that the minimum sentence is 15 years and for murder, and she said she would then ask for an increased sentence specifically because of the manner in which Nosicelo had been murdered, and of course for the other charge that he was also found guilty of, and that is defeating the ends of justice.
Just before I say goodbye to you, Ayesha, of course, in the emotional turmoil for the family, the friends, everyone involved, having to relive this essentially in court as well. Talk to me briefly about support for the victim before I say goodbye to you.
Well, we saw in court on Tuesday, Nosicelo's father was sitting in court, and also, as I said earlier, he sat very composed listening to the graphic details that came out of that confession from Alutha Pasile. But it was when it was his turn to go and testify, and when Alutha Pasile's, when his apology was read out in court, that was when Mr. Mtebeni broke down in court, and he also said that he would never be able to forgive Alutha Pasile, because Pasile's family will still be able to visit him when they want to, but the Mtebeni family will never ever be able to see their daughter Nosicelo again. And we also saw some of her friends and colleagues and former students from Hare University just sitting and crying and sobbing in court once they heard the gory details of how she was murdered.
It's been a terrible court case, I'm sure, to have to sit through and listen to the details, and incredibly traumatic for the family members and friends. But for the moment, Ayesha, thank you so much. The country relying on you and your coverage of what is a terrible crime that we've had to now go through details of here in South Africa, especially during 16 days of activism. We'll go back to our reporter, Ayesha Ismail, at the High Court in East London a little bit later.